let's go back to James Miraflor of Sanlakas. James, you were going back to the issue of EPIRA, and you want this changed. And is that your platform, Sanlakas?
Para sa hayahay na bukas, ibaba ang presyo ng kuryente.
Sandali, hindi ko naintindihan yun. Para sa?
Hayahay na buhay.
Anong ibig sabihin nun?
Hayahay, good life. Maginhawang buhay.
Bisaya ba yun?
Bisaya.
Bisaya ba yun? Okay.
Nalaking part kasi na...
Bisaya ka rin ba?
Ay, hindi po. Ako Bicolano.
Yung Bisaya dito, no? Bisaya ka rin, no? Cebuano?
Hindi.
Okay. Well, anyway, so, ulitin mo nga.
Para sa hayahay na buhay.
Hayahay na buhay.
Oh. Ibaba ang presyo ng kuryente.
Okay. So, anything else you want to add?
Marami naman kasing alternatives na pwede nating tignan. Like, for instance, yung mga small public utility groups, yung mga SPUG utilities and assets. If the government can manage to capacitate LGU players, electric cooperatives to transfer these assets to them na instead na i-privatize. So, and these cooperatives, in fact, kung merong intervention ng government to make them really democratic cooperatives and strong enough to even purchase these generation plants.
So what I think I can sum up both your position and what we heard from Jojo, is that small is beautiful or can be beautiful,
can be cheap
and
because
can be cheap.
Illegal light is still the cheapest. Why? Yung economies of scale, Meralco should be cheaper than illegal light.
That's right.
But something is wrong.
Because they have the power to abuse.
Yeah.
The small players do not have the power. They're humble, and they're happy with the modest profit.
And the problem is,
kasi ang market.
Department of Energy, ERC, is doing everything to increase these cheap ones because it's an embarrassment to them. How can a small utility like illegal light afford cheap power, sell cheap power, and the big ones?
Sige. May reaction si James, and then we go to Louis. James, you were saying at the side of Jojo kanina.
Hindi kasi yung market structure ganyan sa EPIRA dahil na siguro sa flaws on cross-ownership provisions, etc. Nagka-develop ka ng isang oligopsonic and oligopolistic. Kasi both
oligopoly and
oligopsony. Both sides. Na you have 5 families controlling the whole thing. I mean, you have Henry C., Ramon Ang, Aboitis, MVP,
and at this juncture, I'd like to say that I'm a Destiny Cable subscriber, and GNN is on Destiny Cable, but which has been taken over by Sky Cable, which is owned by the Lopezes. Okay, so I will say honestly and frankly, this week I tuned into GNN, and the audio is garbled. I think the garble will even be worse this week on our show because we're talking about something that hits the interest of the Lopezes. GNN is independent, although we're carried by Destiny, which is carried by Sky. But I just want to make it clear, I checked with our technicians, if you are suffering garbled audio on this station alone, GNN, it is not the fault of GNN. It is not. I do not know what the others are doing, but GNN, our signal is very good. But again, I will stress this. You see, this is the power of the super oligarchs. They control everything, and they can stop us from bringing the truth to the people. Okay, I don't know if that will get our station into trouble, but we need to bring the truth to you. So we go to Louis. Louis, yung open access. You have to explain that also to the public.
Okay. On the one hand, we were talking about the tingi-tingi system of prepaid power, which is pandering to the poor, and which is disguised which is really a mechanism to disguise the true cost of power. And on the other hand, we now have this retail competition and open access, where 1 megawatt commercial and industrial loads will be able to exercise a power of choice and choose their power provider of their own choosing.
So makatuwid, yung malalaking nagkukonsumo ng 1 megawatt,
pwede na lumabas sa Meralco.
Tayong ordinaryong bahay, 1,000 kilowatt lang is, is just 1,000 kilowatt. Ito, 1 million kilowatt.
Correct.
Yung mga nagkukonsumo ng 1 million kilowatt, pwede onwards, pataas.
Monthly.
pwede nang dumirekta
Numerekta.
sa generator companies.
Ang tawag dito, cherry picking. Namimitas ka ng pinakamalalaki na customer, bibigyan mo sila ng malaking volume discount dahil isang metro na lang ang ikakabit
Masama
dyan.
ba yan sa ating ordinaryong tao?
Ang mangyayari ho dito, isipin nyo, pag kumabit na ang Mall of Asia, diretsa doon sa kanyang power provider of source, SM, Makati, Landmark, sunod-sunurin natin yan, Mega Mall, Galleria, Trinoma, at SM North. Lahat yan,
isama na natin Robinson. Baka
isama mo Robinson. Ha? Lahat yan,
Pure
babagsak.
Gold, isama mo na rin.
Sama mo na lahat yan. At lahat ng mga kakibat ng mga hotels at mga malalaking mga establishments dyan.
So magdidiskwento diyan sa mga yan.
Malaking diskwento para mahawakan dun sa
paano tayo
open
maapektuhan
access.
ordinary
Ang tawag ko sa atin ay captive residential market.
Tayo, hindi tayo makakapili.
Tayo ay kailangan mag-aggregate, magsama-sama para makaabot tayo doon sa 1 megawatt load na yon para tayo naman ay makaabil.
Na ma-enjoy yung discount.
Napakahirap gawin mo yun. At sino naman nagbebenta nung kuryente na yan? Ito man nagre-retail. Sila rin ay sister companies ng Meralco. So, ito, binibigyan mo diskwento yung mga malalaking mga pabrika, malalaking mga department store, malalaking mga hotels. Pero yung captive residential market na Juan de la Cruz, sasabihin ngayon ng Meralco, ngayon na nawala sa amin itong mga malalaking customer namin. Kailangan namin
nabawasan ang kita namin.
Nabawasan yung aming kita dahil hindi na sila bumibili sa aming Meralco. Sila ay lalapit ngayon sa ERC at hihingi ng pagtaas ng
sa residential.
Dahil kailangan nila ma-recover yung kanilang investments. Nung tinayo nila yung mga investments na yan, ang assumption nila, may mga customers sila tulad ng SM, tulad ng Landmark, tulad ng Robinsons. Nung nawala ito, unfair naman sa kanila.
Sabi nila.
Kaya kailangan habulin nila yon sa atin.
Sa pagtaas sa singil sa mga maliliit.
Yes.
And automatic yan kasi nandyan sa EPIRA na dapat kumita sila, hindi sila pwedeng malugi, di ba?
Correct.
So, yun. So, alam ng publiko na ngayon dahil pinapaliwanag dito.
So, ito ay mangyayari ngayong June.
Lalong gagarbol na naman ang signal natin.
Ang aming panawagan sa ating Secretary Ikot Petilla, magtayo muna siya ng Presidential Task Force para gumawa ng pag-aaral at simulasyon kung ano nga mangyayari sa taripa ng mga residential consumers.
Si Petilla sa unang public statement niya, siyang nagsabi, we need a little greed. Paano ang gobyerno kung gina-justify ang greed? Italo na ang publiko. Let's go to Jojo. Go ahead, Jojo.
Correction. It's all interconnected, our arguments. That's why Meralco now is putting up an expansion of the generation business. He's going to put up 2,000 megawatts because he can own 50% of his consumption. Okay? In preparation for open access. Okay, so he's going to capture everything, and that is one way also of already avoiding the competition of avoidees who will come in an open access. They are already making contracts, 10-year contracts with big consumers. They started it already, giving discounts. So wala na mapasukan yung there is no more competition.
Saka ako naman, medyo negosyante din tayo. Ako natatakot ako sa long-term contract because of price instability. Pero itong mga to walang takot dahil alam nila mababawi nila sa residential consumers na walang kalaban-laban dahil ERC will always be on their side and the law is on their side.
Ang sagot natin ng DOE, meron naman kayong karapatan na magkumpul-kumpul, magsama-sama at bumili. Kung makabuo kayo ng 1 megawatt load, napakahirap gawin yan.
Kakausapin ko sila Fred, isa-isa, 1,000 tao para makapag-consolidate. Talagang...
But as long as hindi ka lang swapang, hindi ka light, for example, in Mindanao, they have already practiced open access ever since. Factories buy direct from NPC. So we are only consumer based. But in spite of that, we were able to make it less than 6 pesos. So as long as you do not abuse the loopholes of EPIRA. That's the problem, eh.
They will. They will.
There are brutal causes of increases. Brutal, karapalan talaga. When a utility firm will buy equipments overpriced by 900%.
Okay, let's go to your case number 2011-008-RC.
Yes.
Paliwanag mo. There are two cases I call Waterloo cases for Meralco. The other is Mangnaro Luhahati's ERC case number 2010-069-RC, where Mangnaro is not present. He cannot leave his house. He's 89 years old. He asked us to take over the case, and Attorney Alan Pagya and I and us will bring it to the Supreme Court. We don't expect to win in the Supreme Court, but we'll show them that they have to lie to the people to decide adversely. But just give a summary of Mangnaro's case. Mangnaro, using COA's audit of 2004, shows that Meralco's rate base should not be 124 billion pesos as Meralco claims. It should only be around 74
RAB,
or 78.
Asset base.
The
not the
RAB. What's the R? Rate asset base.
Rate asset base.
Rate
Okay.
asset base. In other words, 70% it's charged on an overstated rate base. And so the final point here, Naro's case is saying instead of the AAR, the annual average rate of 1 peso and 60 plus centavos per kilowatt, it should only be 90 centavos per kilowatt.
Okay.
Can you imagine? It is almost 90% over what it should be if Mangnaro's position is sustained by the courts. Eventually, we'll have to bring it to the Supreme Court of the people, because we also have a record here of Sereno's decisions, and it's not good for the people. Okay, your case now.
Okay. Genaro is saying that the fixed assets of Meralco now has been determined to be 125 billion. Okay?
By ERC and Meralco.
By ERC and Meralco.
Because COA is saying it's only 78 billion.
Yeah, but actually that is overstated by, it should only be something like 60 or 70 billion.
Yes,
okay. They have arrived at that kind of rate because upon implementation of EPIRA, by the stroke of a pen, okay, from an asset base of 60 billion, they increased it to 96 billion. If one day before EPIRA, Meralco was making about 8% net over the rate base of 66 billion. The next day, when EPIRA was approved, they increased the asset base of Meralco by something like 40 billion. And the rate became fixed at more or less 16%, over 96 billion. Okay, so immediately upon implementation of EPIRA, the rates of Meralco went up about 200%, 300%, without us noticing it. Okay. But since then, okay, by 2010, the rate base of Meralco became something like 2,125 billion. From 96 billion, it increased. This is already by the purchase of equipments, but purchase of equipments overstated by 500 to 942%.
And this is your case?
This is my case now. So that in the latest, they call it the third regulatory rates of Meralco, on top of the asset base that Genaro saying that has been overstated, meron din silang capex. They have a capex for the next 4 years of 40 billion. What I am trying to prove now is that capex of 40 billion is overstated by 30 billion. Okay.
So it should only be 10 billion.
Yeah. For example, one equipment, a power transformer that is 83 MVA, the typical power transformer that is being used by Meralco. they are charging the consumers 109 million. So I told them, here is a phone number. You call the manufacturer in Taiwan. It's exactly the same equipment that you are selling for 109 million is only 25 million if you buy it from the manufacturer. But if you buy it through a distributor,
like
who will make something, no, iba yung Philip. It should be 36 million. But what is happening now, Meralco buys from his own 100% subsidiary, Philic and Miscor, at the price of 109 million. He gets a receipt for 109 million and shows it to ARC. 109 million. So, doon na, kikitain na naman nila yun. So, Meralco is a problem because I was able to prove it. Meralco has admitted and has gone down from 109 million to 61 million. Para bang, that means good boy kami kasi we went down 42%. No, but you're supposed to go down to 25%, to 25 million. But assuming, they admitted it already, by the way, it just means that their capex of 40 billion must be reduced by 42%. Meralco must refund to the consumers 17 point something billion in this regulatory period. But our argument is, why refund after 3 years? Why you keep on collecting for high prices now when you know that you're going to refund it?
Ita-translate ko, napakita mo na pruweba mo na overpriced.
Yes.
Pero dahil sa EPIRA at ERC rules, sasabihin ng ERC, hindi, may reset ka 3 years from now. Pero in the meantime, tayo patuloy nagbabayad doon sa pinakita na sobrang overpriced.
And if you did not find out about it, they will never return it. Because I can prove that there were purchases in the second regulatory period. They overpriced their poles by 942%. They were supposed to return 3.2 billion, but they did not return it.
And the significant thing, that's why I wanted Jojo to present this, is he has the documents to prove it. Yung sariling mga resibo ng Meralco at yung mga claims nila and so on. We have 5 minutes left. What can I do? Limited time.
What can we do?
So much to discuss. I'll go back to James. Anything to add and to Louis? James.
Well, it's very simple. Pinakita naman ng history of struggle natin sa PPA, sa Payola scam nung pinapasa pa lang yung EPIRA ng Sanlakas. Doon lumaban na yung Sanlakas doon. Na the only thing to stop this and to make sure that EPIRA is repealed is by voting representatives na progressive. And at the same time, if we show our opposition in the streets, pagtulong sa mga progressive candidates like Jojo.
Jojo is running for Congress under the...
I'm not campaigning.
You're not campaigning. I'm the one announcing it.
Yes.
For Congress in Iligan, for Partido Lakas ng Masa. So you have an entrepreneur working with a Masa. And I'll go to Louis. I wish all of your party list would win, because you're all legitimate. So Louis is supporting a lot. I hope they all win also. So Louis, 1 or 2 minutes, then we go to Jojo, the eldest, so we give him the last few minutes. Go ahead, Louis.
They're trying to pull a fast one on us again. Summer's coming. So people in Mindanao prepare for artificial power shortages. They will create fake brownouts to try to sell off Agus Pulangi because that is the crown jewel that Mindanaoans must protect.
They do that.
Now during the course of the campaign, they'll also push through with this prepaid power because they hope people won't notice. And they're pushing through with the retail access.
How are we going to stop them?
Well, first, no matter of the prepaid power, there really has to be a broader coalition between Sanlakas, Akbayan, Partido Lakas ng Masa, APEC, TUCP, AGAP, which is another party
When
list
are we
group
going to
in
meet
Batangas.
all these together? When are we going to meet?
These guys will meet in the next Congress, and they all have a power agenda.
Okay,
Not
good.
a power
That's
agenda
good
for
news.
themselves, but to reform the power
For the
sector.
power
Okay,
sector.
okay.
Ating co-op in Cagayan de Oro. So
Okay.
there are many party list groups that are really looking now into the issue of power because it is a local issue for the consumers.
Okay.
Second, in the case of the NEA bill, why should we allow something that we have been paying for the past 30 years, worth hundreds of billions of pesos, to be sold off by NEA at a song to 5 families? For crying out loud, consumers will come together. And the rate of their coming together will be geometric to the profit that they're trying to
Our
make.
crew here.
And finally,
Yes, go
on the
ahead,
issue
go
of the
ahead.
NEA Charter,
Yes, sir.
there will be groups who will be filing before the Supreme Court
Good,
to
good.
challenge the NEA Charter, and also before the International Labor Organization that
We have 1 minute to go.
violative of freedom of association.
Okay. We'll repeat this in a few weeks. Jojo.
In a nutshell, whatever is given to Meralco is given to everybody in the utility business. That's why I am focusing my attack on Meralco, okay? Because if we succeed in lowering and exposing the overpricing and all the other racket there, then everything will follow, okay? Because what is good for Meralco is good for the business.
We have run out of time. If they garble our audio, go to the internet, www.gnn-tv-asia.com. Go to the internet, just search GNN TV and you'll find it. So mabuhay po kayong lahat, mabuhay tayong lahat, mabuhay itong mga nagmamalasakit, at tuloy po ang laban natin. Let's end this endless electrocution of the Filipino power consumers. Maraming salamat and have a good weekend.